And how is it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Paws Up Preview, as it's time for some postseason basketball, as the FIU Panthers take on the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers in what is essentially a play-in game to determine who gets into the real first round of the CUSA tournament over in Huntsville, Alabama. I am Jake Gibson, joined alongside my friend and co-host Kevin Barral. And Kevin, this basketball season for FIU has had some ups, a lot of downs, but it's basically it's a fresh start now. Brand new season has just started exclusively in Huntsville, as the Panthers, if they can get things rolling, could win a conference title, could earn a spot in March Madness.
Yeah, I mean, some way, somehow, FIU still finds himself with a chance to get into March Madness. So, as bad as this season has been, 9-22 record, finishing the season, going 3-15 in conference play. As bad as you could think, honestly, and losing every conference game on the road for a second straight year. It's pretty bad, but overall, I mean, look, this is an FIU team that will have an opportunity to compete once again. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking forward to it. Look, you're playing Western Kentucky, a team that you beat at home. Let's see how that goes. They kept it close on the road, so I'm looking forward to seeing what that looks like. What this FIU team is going to be able to do. So yeah, look, and if they beat Western Kentucky, they'll play Jacksonville State, which is a team that they were close to beating 2 times already this season. Went to, I believe, double overtime at home. I would think went to overtime in Jacksonville. So I'm looking forward to it. FIU has a pretty good path to the CUSA title. You avoid Liberty up until the finals if they were to make the championship game. So look, good opportunity for FIU. So I'm excited to see how this goes. And remember, FIU did win the first game of the tournament last season, so you never know.
So let's get right into it. 9-22 for FIU thus far this season. Conference-wise, they went 3-15. Their sole wins against CUSA teams came against, like you mentioned, Western Kentucky. Second game of the conference slate. They beat Sam Houston in a thriller here in the Ocean Bay Convocation. Then they beat Kennesaw State pretty handedly that game. So all things considered, Kevin, the positive storylines for this FIU squad are kind of few and far in between. It's mainly been about the shortcomings that this team has suffered so far this season. So if you want to look at some of the positive aspects of this FIU season compared to years last, where would you look as far as players, as far as storylines? What's got your fancy here?
Yeah, Jaden Brewer has been a fun guy to watch this season. Fire. One of the better transition players in the country. He's been one of the faster players. A guy who has the hops. He's been good. He leads the team in points per game and rebounds per game as well. Not as how you want to lead in if you're a guard, but point stands. He's been a good guy to watch this season. And yeah, he's been fun. Vianney Solachum, the JUCO transfer, he's been another really nice addition to this FIU team. Yeah. Second amongst the conference in blocks per game, leads FIU with 53 blocks. So that's going to be a nice little addition there. They have him for another year, hopefully, if he decides to stay. So yeah, those are 2 guys that have really stood out. Defensively, FIU, look, they've been able to stay in a lot of games. I know there's been those couple blowout, like this last one against Middle Tennessee, which I'm surprised was a blowout because of how close they played them in that first game. But yeah, look, they've been able to play some close games. A lot of games this season have been very close matchups all the way up until the end. You look at the Jacksonville State game, they went to a double overtime at home. Kennesaw on the road, they kept it really close. That Western Kentucky game, to finish out the season, or second to last game of the season, regular season at least, it was really close up until Western went on a big run. I feel like for this FIU team, a lot of their season has been, all right, the opposing team goes on a huge run, and that's where it kind of out of it. Mm-hmm. And then there's obviously the Liberty situation where they just got going right away in La Tech as well. So, yeah, look, Jaden Brewer, Vianney Solachum, 2 guys who have been really good, and just FIU's effort. I think they've shown the effort. They've shown that they want to win games. I think they'll love to win some games. And I guess the other nice little storyline, Jonathan Abar finally reaching 1,000.
That was awesome.
So that was pretty cool to see. I know it came at a loss, but it came on senior day, so it should be pretty coal for him.
Yeah, senior day was fun. I was there. Honored a lot of the guys, Abar included, and to see him get that done at home. I don't think there was a doubt he would have gotten it done this season because they had 2 games to go. But the fact he got it done in front of the FIU faithful was cool. So yeah, there's going to be, if FIU can retain most of their talent, they're going to have a lot of seniors next season, which I think is going to be a good thing. Of course, you have Day-Day, Deshaun Gittens, Asim Jones, who I think has been a very solid pickup this year, and then you have players like Jaden Brewer, who has become the cornerstone of this team, and that's where the difficult part comes in as well, because when these players have such great seasons for FIU, they end up in the transfer portal going somewhere else. I think I miss Arturo Dean still, and what he was
Everyone does.
His team. It's the Arturo Dean situation where these players have really great seasons here, but the team is not where these players want them to be to have postseason success, and then they go somewhere else and hopefully find it. I haven't really been keeping up with Oklahoma State basketball to the point where I don't know how they're doing in the Big 12. Like if there's in the tournament, have they been eliminated, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it just kind of sucks the way this is for FIU specifically. I guess the NIL and whatnot is not there just yet to the point where, yeah, they can retain these guys. You obviously are competing with the Hurricanes over in Coral Gables. They just got their brand new head coach for the future. I think it's a pretty good hire from Duke as well. I think it's good for them. But Coach Ballard, if he stays next season, he's going to have he's going to have to build a roster. Not completely from the ground up, because you will retain some talent, but I think he's going to have a lot of hard work trying to create the team of the future here at FIU.
Yeah, and JB's a good guy, just to begin with what I'm about to say, but who knows if he's going to be here next year, just with the state of the team. Look, you win 2 less games, and you, for a second straight season, do not win a conference road game. To have success in any sport, you need to win on the road. FIU football did not win a game on the road last season, and they proved that by not winning a game on the road, they did not make a bowl game. And we saw what happened with them. And unfortunately, thankfully for CUSA men's basketball, everyone gets in. But
yeah,
if there was a team that was not going to get in, like if out of the, I think 10 teams, one doesn't get in, it would have been FIU. FIU would not have been in the conference tournament this year. They wouldn't have made it last season either. So you got to look at it and just say, like, you got to see, you got to like just look and be like, all right, is this team going to be one that will contend? Like how are you going to be able to contend? And JB's been here for a very long time. He's been great to us, and but again, I feel like that's a conversation that needs to be mentioned on this podcast, even though we wish everyone the best. And again, you're right. This is going to be a new team next season. I'm expecting a lot of guys to hit the portal.
Yeah,
I mean, Jaden Brewer is going to find himself on another team next season, regardless. I think this is a guy who has put up the numbers, has done what he needs to go up and maybe go to some sort of power conference. And then you look at a Deshaun Gittens. I mean, Gittens, we'll see. His season's been a little up and down. I'll be interested to see if he decides to stay or not, maybe to recoup some value. I know maybe he has another year after this, but look, I'll be interested to see what a lot of this team does. Ashton Williamson put up a very nice freshman season. I believe if the current staff stays, that he will stay as well. So we'll see what happens. Look, right now we're focused on this game, but this is a bigger picture. I mean, if Jeremy Ballard goes in here and wins these 2 games in the conference tournament and somehow gets them to the finals, or God, if he gets to the finals, I mean, he's staying for another year. You have to keep him for that. And a lot of the guys are going to stay too. But, we'll see what happens. At the end of the day, you never know what could happen. It's college basketball. And as he said, I mean, this is a whole new season for FIU. They played a lot of close games against these teams. They played Western extremely close. So you never know what can happen. So I'm interested to see. But I think, unfortunately, we need to look at the bigger picture here with this team and this program overall.
Yeah. FIU only won a single actual road game this season. It was against Stetson back in September. They did beat Cal Bakersfield, but that was a neutral site game over in Fort Myers. Like you mentioned, and just speaking about FIU athletics in general here now, Scott Carr has made it clear that he does want to see winning programs across all sports, and he finally got his first fire as an AD on his first hire with head coach Mike McIntyre. So if the athletic program decides that, if a basketball program that's in a city in Miami that is home to such great high school talent in the South Florida area and should be a pretty solid mid-major hub for talent across the country to recruit and transfer to, if they're not getting it done at this point, I think I think Scott Carr has proven that he could look towards other opportunities for maybe bring in somebody from another mid-major level or maybe even a power conference level here in basketball to bring in to take Ballard's role. And again, Ballard has been an amazing guy to us. Kevin, after every press conference, he always walks up to us, shakes our hand, tells us thank you for being here. Super cool that he does that, and he's super appreciative of the work we do, and we're appreciative to him for that. But at the end of the day, he's been given a lot of years, a lot of rosters, a lot of coaching staffs to work alongside him, and he has not gotten the job done thus far here at FIU. So if they want to look somewhere else for that position, I completely understand. You kind of had those vibes as the football season was closing out with Mike McIntyre, where they might need to look somewhere else to turn that program around, and they did. Now they got Willie Simmons, and I think the expectations for FIU football are pretty high. So we'll definitely have to touch up on that on a future episode of the podcast, probably. But for now, like you had mentioned, we're going to be taking on Western Kentucky, which could be one of the better teams FIU could have gotten to play in this. Not even the first round, like a play-in matchup, if you will. I think Kennesaw would have been another nice opponent FIU could have taken on because they had that success. Sam Houston, maybe. But yeah, Western Kentucky, even though game we lost to them, the second to last game of the regular season was very close. Could have gone either way over there in Bowling Green. To backtrack, by the way, do you know what game was the point in the season where I felt the most amount of worry for where the squad was going? It was the New College of Florida game that they barely squeaked by the New College of Florida. They only won by 7 against those guys. That's when I knew that.
New College. Okay.
Yeah, the mighty Bunions.
Yeah, no, I know what game we're talking about.
Yeah. I need to won by 7 at home against those guys, and that's where I was like, oh, this team has some problems. They can't put 150 on these guys like they did. They didn't even put 150 on Florida National, which they've done pretty consistently in years past. So that's where I was like, okay, this team might have some problems.
Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't be beating New College of Florida by that much, honestly. But look, this team has played in a lot of close games, and I think the big picture here is this team hasn't been able to win in clutch situations at all this season. Like, you look at most of the games, and they've been pretty handed wins. They haven't been able to win in clutch, except the Cal State Bakersfield game. They have not been able to win in the clutch, and that's unfortunate because this team has some guys that could really step up, and unfortunately just haven't been able to. And one other thing to note is that this team is not a very good 3-point shooting team to begin with.
Bad.
They're actually a really bad shooting team overall. Most of their shots have been thanks to just getting in the paint. And
last in Conference USA.
Yeah, you're not going to win. You're not going to win basketball games if you're shooting, I think, 28% from the 3. So that's not acceptable. Now, to their credit, the one thing they did improve on was the rebounding. They're still one of the lowest teams in rebounding, but you look at that last Western Kentucky game, they dominated the board. I mean, it was like 40-26, and they still lost, but they're kept close. So I don't know. Look, FIU is in a certain situation where it's just like you're obviously the record speaks for itself, but I don't know. This is a team that really is like sometimes very frustrating to watch because some of these guys are good, and after watching them for a certain amount of time, you're like, all right, like they're good. Like they could be good if they wanted to. Like after that Western Kentucky game, you go out and beat the defending Conference USA champions. You tell yourself, wow, like maybe this is a good team. Like maybe this team is going to be able to play in CUSA. And unfortunately, a lot of games just were very close. They couldn't beat UTEP in a close situation. Jacksonville State, Western Kentucky on the road. I think you played New Mexico State pretty close on the road too. So it's just like, and at home too. Specifically at home. They played New Mexico State very close at home. So
yeah, they got blown out by New Mexico State in Las Cruces.
So it's tough. It's tough. But again, this team was able to manage out a win in the CUSA tournament, last season. So I do ask myself what that could look like the upcoming season. Look, and I'm just looking right now. Middle Tennessee at home was a close game. Sam Houston was a fairly close game. Like they should have won that game. At home against New Mexico State was close. The UTEP game, they ran away with it at the end.
Yeah.
Jacksonville State, 71-67 loss. Kennesaw State, 73-67 loss. La Tech, that was actually a relatively close game for the most part up until the end. UTEP on the road got killed. Same thing with New Mexico State. Liberty, actually, for the most part, a close game up until the end.
They pulled away, yeah.
And then Kennesaw, obviously, you win. Jacksonville State, double overtime loss.
That was the heartbreaker, yeah.
That was the heartbreaker.
They were clutch. They actually did play clutch in that game to force overtime, and they forced a second overtime. But once they got to double overtime, the wheels fell off the bus, and the team folded.
Like, I think it just comes down to saying this: if they shot a little bit better from the three, at least 35%, which would still be towards the bottom of the conference, I want to say. I mean, you would be in a completely different situation. Yeah, like for example, I mean, geez, if you shot 35%, you would be number 3 in conference in 3-point shooting. And all I'm going to ask is maybe 32, which would be towards the bottom still. But look, for example, New Mexico State, a good team. Middle Tennessee, a good team. That's what they're shooting, and they're doing pretty fine. So I don't know. It's going to be an interesting watch on Tuesday at 9 p.m. I'll be watching. You'll be recapping the game, so I'm looking forward to seeing what this looks like for FIU.
And
it gives them a couple of days to rest up. They haven't been able to.
Yeah, that is true.
And it gives them a couple of days to rest up, get it going, prepare. And the good thing is that you just saw this team not too long ago. Yeah, so that's just a matter of. It's hard to beat a team 2 times in a row, and I think that's the case for football, and that's the case for basketball. Baseball's a little different. We'll talk about baseball at the end. I think FIU has an opportunity to beat Western Kentucky and beat them 2 times in the season, now in a neutral site. Who knows? And FIU may be coming out motivated. Arturo Dean carried them to that win against Jacksonville State. Can Jaden Brewer step up? Can Aviani Solachum step up? Can Deshaun Gittin step up, who hasn't really been able to step up much this season? I'm looking forward to watching that.
The best point I think you made, Kevin, is that, this team, when in the clutch, faced with a presumptuous task of either tying or winning the game late, has at some points folded like a lawn chair. I still have bad memories of FIU's final offensive possession in the first overtime on senior day against Jacksonville State, where I believe it was Ashton Williamson,
he lost
the ball. They could have done any play there. They let Ash call it, but he couldn't call it, and they went on to lose that game. So it's been a very frustrating season, because I think it was at the start on our preview of the basketball season where I said that I just wanted to see a small sort of progress from last season. Record-wise, that ultimately did not end up happening. They won 11 games last year, so even if you beat Western Kentucky but lose in the second round, you still won one less game than you did the season prior. And I said, I said postseason wise, I still wanted to see progress. I didn't expect this season. I didn't expect FIU this season at the start to win the CUSA title. I did not expect that. I wanted them to win 2 games in the postseason. And now I'm not so sure they're going to win any, because I mean, we'll talk about at the end who we think is going to win, but I don't feel great about FIU's chances, regardless of the fact that, they did just play WKU not that long ago. And it was kind of actually a pretty exciting game. But, looking at some other stats here, just because I have the stat page pulled up, let me share my screen. It was actually very hard, Kevin, to find statistics that FIU have been relatively good in this season. You mentioned scoring. Offensively, their points per game average is actually second worst in CUSA. New Mexico State just barely edged them out in that department, so shout out the Aggies. 3-point wise, their percentage is worse than CUSA, and it's actually not even close, funnily enough. Kennesaw State is 0.30 or 0.28. Rebounding wise, they're not great either. They're the 3rd worst in Conference USA. It's kind of funny that Liberty, who's expected to win the CUSA title, has the 2nd worst rebounding technically in the conference, but okay. Here you go. Here's something FIU has been great at. It's blocking. They average the most blocks per game. Assist-wise, they're kind of mid. Steals, they're the 2nd best in CUSA. UTEP is in front of them. Let's not talk about attendance. So there you go. defensively, FIU has looked pretty good in some games this season, and you've had players like Ashton Williamson leads the team with steals. Vianney Salachum has been a menace in the paint. He has he averages almost 2 blocks per game, which is pretty cool. Defensively, there have been some good players for the squad.
Yeah, definitely. And I think defense wins championships. And I think, funny enough, the new Hurricanes head coach, Jai Lucas, said, we're going to start on defense and we're going to win games.
There you go.
Defense. And that's something FIU's really, thrived at. They're a good defensive team for the most part, I would say. And that's a big reason why they've been able to stay competitive and, 75% of these games this season. So it's a good thing. And I think at the end of the day, whoever's the best defensive team is the one that's going to win some games. And look, you look at scoring. I mean, Western Kentucky has the second worst defense in Conference USA. I mean, just allowing points. They allow 75 points per game. Sam Houston allowing the most. FIU only allows 72 points per game. I think this is gonna be a pretty close game, Jake. Like you look at it, both games already against this team were close, except the first one. The first one wasn't close at all. The second one was very close, and that's I think what we'll get again. And I mean, again, two teams going into a neutral site game. Fans don't matter, in my opinion, in this case. Yeah. And I mean,
unless Jack State's playing, it's almost kind of unfair because they're really close.
Well, look, we played Jack State last season, and look what happens. In Huntsville, Alabama. I'm looking forward to this game. I really am. And maybe it's just now because we're recording this preview, but I think it is fair to go in with low expectations. This team didn't win a road game. This team lost two games more. We'll see what happens, but I'm excited to see what happens with this team.
So let's quickly take a look at how Western Kentucky got here. How they got to this tournament. They have a 17-14 record, 8-10 in the conference. They actually won some road games. They won 4. How about that? Their non-con had actually a lot of losses. They actually started off the season 0-3 against UA. That was an exhibition, but which they hosted Wichita State and lost that. Grand Canyon is a really good basketball program. I think they're joining the Mountain West, or is it the Pac-12? I think it's the Mountain West.
Not sure.
In a year or two, as an obviously non-football but everything else member, which is cool. And then they had some good wins. Jackson State, pretty good team to beat. Lipscomb, I think, literally just won their conference at the time of recording. I can't remember what conference Lipscomb is in at this very moment, but I did see that they won it. So in retrospect, this is actually a great win for them. They got, and this might be one of the most impressive games. It was a loss, but they kind of kept up with Kentucky, which is obviously a big basketball university. And then further down the line, they had this really bad loss to Michigan, which was interesting. But then you get into the conference slate. Their first conference game, they beat Liberty in Lynchburg by a point, but they did beat who ended up being the top dogs in Conference USA, which is really cool. For them, they kind of went on the 2-game skid here in Murfreesboro and Ruston, but then they came back home and they won 3 straight games against Sam Houston, UTEP, and Mexico State. The Sam Houston game was on the road, but these 2 games here, shout out them when they take on the Western teams, UTEP and New Mexico State at the Diddle Arena. They took advantage. They actually blew out the Aggies. Wow. And then further down the line here, you'll see their win over FIU in March, and then they kind of got destroyed by Liberty in the Diddle Arena, and now they take on that. And that's where they find themselves now. Liberty actually won the regular season championship off this game, so you can tell how badly this game mattered to Liberty. So that's where that was. So Atlantic Sun, by the way, that's where Lipscomb is. The Atlantic Sun Conference, I believe. They just won that, so Western got a win over them. They've had some really quality wins here so far this season, between the Lipscomb game, between the first Liberty game, and even between keeping it close against Kentucky and the SEC. There have been some really solid moments for the Hilltoppers.
Yeah, this is a new head coach, and not a really new team, but yes, not head coach. Yes, this is a new head coach, but he was the assistant coach last season for Western Kentucky because the former head coach took Arturo Dean to Oklahoma State.
There you go.
This is a relatively new team. A lot of returners, though, at the same time. So it's a good team. I mean, Western Kentucky is the CUSA champs, and all of a sudden they find themselves in a 7-10 seed game. So yeah. I'll be interested to see what that looks like. And at the end of the day, it comes down to who's going to perform in the highest level moments. FIU hasn't shown that much this season.
Yeah.
But they showed it last season, and this is the same team essentially with a couple of new faces, in Ashton and Vianney. After that, FIU has an opportunity to win, and it starts against Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky is a good team. They showed it. They have a lot of good players. Now it's your matter of, can FIU match their level of intensity? And I think FIU has an opportunity to do that. FIU is one of the fastest teams in the conference. They're one of the quickest transition teams in the conference. I think they have an opportunity. And this is the thing, too. I think Western Kentucky wasn't prepared for that last season. Or not last season, the first game of the season when FIU blew them out of the water.
Yeah.
FIU was shooting the ball well that game, too. So if FIU shoots the ball well and, changes up a couple things in terms of just their offensive scheme, FIU has an opportunity, man. And I'm excited to see what it looks like. Again, like, you never know what's going to happen in the CUSA tournament game. And that goes for every sport. That goes for every sport.
Yeah, it is March. It is getting quite mad here in the world of college basketball, so we'll see what happens. Don McHenry is the player on Western Kentucky that screams like he's a stud. Watch out for him. But I'm looking towards, and I hope I pronounce this right, Babacar Faye. He is almost averaging a double-double with points in per game. He has been a really good asset for Western Kentucky so far this season. They have length. They have experience. Not really experience. It's kind of a relatively new look for them, but it's still – they have some really great pieces here and there. Don McHenry has had some fantastic games so far this season for the Hilltoppers. So they have depth, too. They have a really good bench over there in Western Kentucky. So – not a crazy preview, I suppose, but I wish we entered this postseason game a bit more positive. But I think that's what makes this, like you said, this Conference USA tournament so special at times, Kevin. Because we thought after the Jacksonville State win last season, we'd see something of a Cinderella run for FIU. It obviously didn't end up happening. I believe they lost to Sam Houston in the next round, but. There was, at least for one game, there was a bit of magic in the air for the FIU Panthers, and hopefully we can see that again.
Yeah, definitely.
Ironically, women, by the way, we'll talk about women's in a sec just to show the full bracket. Here it is. UTEP takes on Sam Houston. The winner of that game takes on Liberty. Whoever wins the FIU Western game takes on Jacksonville State. It was interesting, but how they kind of changed up the bracket from last year when they had when they didn't have Kennesaw. Now they do, so it's a nice, clean 10-team bracket. These guys, Liberty and Jack State, get buys, and technically, ironically, the 4, 5, and 3, 6 teams also get an extra day off over the 1 and 2 seeds, which I find a bit funny. But regardless, whoever wins these games will take on whoever wins these 3 games. I'm just going to say it right now. Liberty has done so good this season that it would be hard to say that they're not going to end up winning it all.
I think they're the favorites.
Yeah, they definitely are the favorients.
I wouldn't count out La Tech though. That team, despite
they're good
this season, they're a solid squad, and New Mexico State as well. You don't want to mess with those.
Sneaky good. Yeah.
But out of the teams that are in the play, and if we had to choose one, I like UTEP a lot. Like UTEP is a fun squad. They have I don't know. I think I've mentioned this a lot. I really like the UTEP program as a whole. They need to add a baseball program, please. But okay. I think they have a solid squad, and I know UTEP fans, they care about their basketball more than anything, even more than football, crazy enough. But, if Western Kentucky beats FIU, for example, who knows? And by the way, just a note, all these times are Central Time. So just if you're an FIU fan or an East fan, a fan in the East, just put an hour on that. And that's why it's a 9 p.m. start for FIU.
And put another hour because of the daylight savings time that quite literally just happened too. I hate that.
Yeah. Well, it's still a 9 p.m. start though.
Kevin, could you transfer and go become a student at UTEP tomorrow if given the opportunity? How much you like to glaze the Miners?
Paws up all day, baby.
All right. UTEP could be a sneaky good team simply because Scotty Walden will probably in the building. I know he's the football coach, but he just radiates aura, So
he's like one of the best. He's a fun coach.
All the other sports teams.
Hopefully Willie surpasses him though.
Hopefully
the aura stuff.
He needs to do something funny, like Mike McIntyre did the lights out. Willie needs to do something funny. I don't know.
Willie's a funny guy. Willie did some magic tricks on campus.
He did. And he's been in a lot of events too. He's been at basketball games. He's been at baseball games. He threw out the first pitch at the Lone Depot Park game, which was cool to see. So,
yeah.
All right. Ironically, women's is also taking on Western Kentucky, but again, they actually do get a day off before they have to go for that one, which is funny. Both teams, yeah. So they're the sixth seed, which, I mean, considering the injuries that the women's team has gone through so far this season, to get to the sixth seed, I'm going to say is pretty good. I'm kind of proud of the way they managed to get here, regardless of what has happened.
Yeah, Maya Kone only played one game all season. She was the preseason CUSA Player of the Year, so it really sucks for them. But look, this has been an on and off team, and if they could get on it, I mean, they have a good chance to win it. I mean, look, they were the best team in the conference last season, if not top two, and they lost in the first round. But women, they're playing on Thursday at 3. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what they could do. I know they have a lot of shooters, so I think they have a good opportunity to surprise some people when it comes to their shooting abilities. But, yeah, Judith has been good. So has Lucy. So, well, yeah. And then if you have, what's her name? Jeez. Oh, my God. I forgot her name. Tay Hayes.
There you go. Tanisha Hayes.
Yeah, Tanisha Hayes. Yeah. We'll see.
Liberty's the 1 seed in both men's and women's.
Liberty is coming to
crazy.
The just dominated and everything.
I'm Liberty. I can join Conference USA and win championships and lose to Oregon in the New Year's Six Bowl. Anyway,
they're a good squad.
It's like UConn.
I'm looking at that'll be an interesting football team though next year. I mean, they have a good squad, but we'll see. And it ain't going to be the Liberty we saw the last couple of years, though. I'll tell you that. True. And football, that is.
Alrighty. Before we start to wrap up here, maybe talk a bit about baseball. I think it's time for a quick around FIU athletics. How about it, Kev?
Let's do it.
Alrighty, here's a look around FIU athletics. Who to watch from the 305? Let's start with, well, we just talked about women's basketball. Let's go on to baseball, and we're going to talk a bit more about them in a sec, but they're coming off a tough series loss to FAU. They're going to have a chance to at least even up the record against FAU this season all the way in April 29th when they are in Boca Raton one final time. But they're going to take on FGCU in a midweek contest on Tuesday, March the 11th at 6 o'clock over here at Miami. Then they're going to take on Bucknell in a 4-game series. It's going to be the last 4-game series of the season for the baseball squad. Then conference starts in the latter end of the month here in March. So definitely a lot of ground for FIU to make up, get some wins under the belt before the CUSA portion of the season starts against Jacksonville State on the 21st. Next up is softball. They're staring at a 19-8 record. Kevin, they have been absolutely on fire as of late. They absolutely kicked butt in the FIU Classic Invitational, and they're coming off a series win against Middle Tennessee. They're going to be heading to Kennesaw to take on the Owls of KSU starting on Friday, March the 14th at 6 o'clock, all the way to Sunday, March the 16th at 12:30. They'll be back at Felsberg Field the week after to take on New Mexico State. Beach volleyball, 7-5 record so far this season. They're coming off a kind of disappointing tournament over at FGCU. They did beat South Carolina, but lost to UNF, Stetson, and FGCU. They're going to be at the beach volleyball courts on Wednesday, March the 12th at 9:30 a.m. to take on the UAB Blazers. Then they're going to head over to Manhattan Beach for a East meets West Invitational with a lot of Western teams: Hawaii, Cal, UCLA. Swim and dive, by the way, is going to be finishing up the diving zone championships next week. It's actually already begun at the time of recording on Tuesday at 12 p.m. They're going to continue and then into Wednesday before they get into the CSCAA National Invitational Championships in Ocala later this week on the 13th to the 15th. So that was your look over at around FIU athletics. Softball, man, they've been really good. They that stretch where they just kind of kicked everybody's butt in that invitational: Eastern Illinois, Bradley, Toledo, St. Francis. Then they played around with FGCU in Fort Myers, and yeah, they got into conference play on a high note, and they took care of business against Middle Tennessee.
Yeah, I think that's what they needed. I feel like they needed to beat a conference opponent. Like handedly, and they did. So taking 2 out of 3, I believe, against Middle Tennessee is always nice.
Yeah.
And we'll see. FIU, who knows? I mean, this is probably just one of the best teams in a while. So
yeah, they've been
softball,
really good.
and they're playing for Mike Larrabee, who's been at, I think, at least the home games I've attended.
Yeah,
he's been there, so at least as a fan, so it's always good to see that. And
yeah, it's great to see it.
Hey, Coach Mike Myers may be on his way to winning CUSA Coach of the Year as an interview.
That would be amazing. That'd be such a great story.
It would be a cool story. Yeah, good for him, man.
That'd be awesome. Let's talk some baseball real quick. There's been some good and some bad. The bad being a lot of bad recently with the loss to Lone Depot Park. Kevin, I finally got to see your place of work at the Lone Depot Park press boxes. Great press box, by the way. I will say, very spacious, lots of seats, both actually at the press box as well as the dining/work area. Very spacious.
Very ready to admit the Dolphins.
The roof was closed and I was dying. I had to take off my quarter zip. This quarter zip, I had to take it off. I was sweating so much. Better than the Dolphins.
We need a yes
or no
right away.
Food at Dolphins games.
Well, you went to an FIU game, bro. If you went to a Marlins game, it would be different.
We hardly got water. Water was kind of a struggle to get until they actually brought out some cups. But no, it's a great press box, and the view from there to home plate and the entire field, for that matter, it was quite nice. I will say that, Kevin. The game was nice for a little bit until that grand slam, and then kind of went sour. But they're coming off a weekend series loss to FAU. They won the first game. We were hyped. Then the bullpen let us down in game 2, and then the starting pitching let us down in game 3. Kevin.
Yeah, it was a tough one. Definitely should have won game 2, just the way things were going. FIU really, even with the struggles of Kashawn Fred and Brylan West at the top of the order, going 0 for 10 on the road game. Still had a lot of production from after that. Hector with an awesome catch, robbing a home run there, which would have been pretty bad at the time of that game. So yeah, just rough. I'd probably let Owen Puck finish his outing a little too early, in my opinion. Not sure why David Eckes maybe didn't go another inning. That duo has been pretty fun to watch this season. Been pretty good. Just tough. It's baseball at the end of the day. FIU wasn't able to get anything going offensively after that. So Brennan Rooney had a 3-hit game, his first since his first year at FIU. So it's been a while, but knocked in 2 RBIs. And you watched the game today. We're recording this on Sunday. Just tough overall.
Marlon West had a great game.
He did have a great game. 2 home runs. Keshawn had 1, so hopefully they're back. Now they play FGCU, so hopefully you could beat another Florida team would be nice. FIU yet to win a road game this season. Hopefully that changes soon. I think it will, honestly. It will. But look, this is a team that, we'll see what happens. I feel I'm still high on them, as I am always.
Of course.
But things need to, a couple things need to change. The bullpen situation is really tough. That's been really a reason why they've lost a lot of games this season. The USF game, the bullpen was the reason. I mean, you look at that Miami game, bullpen was the reason. You look at the middle game of that 3-game set, the bullpen was a reason. So, again, look, they should be producing a lot more offensively than they've been. They've been on and off on the offensive side. You need your top hitters in the lineup to really get it going, and Sean and Brylan, and they weren't getting it going that whole week leading up to that final game of the series against FAU. So they'll have another shot at the Owls in Boca Raton, I believe, in April. So hopefully they could get the win, and that would be a series split, season series split. So I think you'll take that over losing 3 out of 4.
Yeah. I mean, even offensively, when this team has struggled, they've put up 3, 4, 5 runs in games. FIU has not even come close to being shut out thus far this season. Even against Miami, they still put up 3 runs and were really competitive with the Canes, even on their off days, batting-wise. So offensively, I think this team has been wonderful to watch so far. It's been mainly the bullpen that has let this team down, but as we saw earlier today, Rundy did not have a great start, and they unfortunately let us down there against FAU. So the worst part about that game in Boca Raton was that you actually had to go there and go to their high school facility over there and watch the lock.
It's not even a high school facility.
It's like a middle school.
No offense to FAU, but that's got to be one of the worst facilities.
I mean all the offense. I'm just gonna be a D1 hater here. All right, let me just be a D1 crash out here.
I unfortunately, as much as I want to be, until they win in football and hope they're watching.
We can't be so ruthless, Kevin. We're gonna be so ruthless.
I will try my most professional way to be ruthless, but yes, you're right.
Especially after the FAU social media meltdown of the March 7th, a day that will go live in infamy, where the University of South Florida rallied to have our backs, which I guess we're pretty appreciative of.
They beat us, so I'm sure they had to do something in return.
Well, FAU is trying to create either FAU is trying to create a rivalry with USF in the American, or maybe it's vice versa.
USF is like, it is. There is a rivalry there. If you're an in-state opponent, you should definitely consider it a rivalry. At least
FAU. I know FAU fans have been like, "Oh, no, they're not a rival. They're just their USF." But then USF destroyed them in football. FAU, I think they got their revenge back in basketball like a few days ago. But
FAU beat them in basketball, I think.
Yeah. So after that meltdown from the FAU faithful a couple of days ago, I mean, what more can you say on you have to leave him with something here. Las Spadas is overrated. Jersey Mike's clears. Better and cheaper. Especially cheaper, by the way.
Well, that's not the point. The point is the type of the food. And Las Spadas, I think you just had a bad first experience. I'll defend the folks at Boca Raton on that one. I like Las Spadas.
Oh, you're gonna defend the 80-year-olds over at Boca Raton.
I will defend the food. The food is pretty good. They actually have awesome Italian food. Now, I will say FAU football needs to improve what they serve at their
that barbecue. Oh, it's not good. They even served the same thing at the Boca Raton Bowl, and it still was not that good.
Wait till they see our press box.
They're going to be munching on Jersey Mike's. That's significantly better, to be fair. After that, I think it was the Boca Raton Bowl. We went to this random little pizza shop. I don't even know.
That's got to be some of the best pizza I've had ever.
Dude, that pizza was fire. I forget the name of it. It was like in this little strip mall, like next to a gas station. It was really good.
It was really good. Yeah.
Digressing. We're spending too much time talking about FAU. My God. Let's just finish it up here. Who will win this game between FIU men's basketball and the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers? Kevin, do the Panthers get on a Cinderella run, or will this season of hell finally reach the depths of hell?
Yeah, look, unfortunately, I think the trend will continue. It'll be a close game, but I think FIU will fall to the Hilltoppers. As much as I want to say they're going to win, and we'll both be rooting for them, but this team, I don't know, just can't win in the clutch, unfortunately. They've proved it countless times. They put the effort. Now, I'll give them that. The effort's there all the way through the game. It's just a matter of, can you win the clutch? And unfortunately, they just haven't.
Yeah. I mean, I don't usually want seasons to end for FIU, but this is a season where I really just can't wait for it to be over so they can hit the reset button. I'm just going to keep it short. No, they're not beating Western Kentucky. It would be cool, but no, I don't have faith in them. Kevin did say, I think earlier, that it's tough to beat a team twice in rapid succession in the sport of basketball. But Western Kentucky has won on the road. They've won in the clutch, and they've beaten really good teams in Conference USA. And FIU, in reality, has done none of those.
They beat Liberty.
Yeah, exactly. FIU has done none of those three things consistently this season. So we'll leave it there, I guess. Final thoughts, Kevin, on basketball, on baseball. You got Bucknell. You have that Dominoes tournament, which, I mean, never say never, Kevin. You could, that Cuban heritage will get you ready for that Dominoes tournament. I'm not playing
it because I'm not paying $500 to participate.
Watch out for if Hondel's in that tournament. Beware. I feel like Hondel's probably a great.
You gotta get him on soon, man. But anyways, we'll wrap it up here. Yeah, no, good stuff.
Good luck to both basketball programs. Good luck to them.
Honestly, we're rooting for them. We'll be always rooting for them, and should be a good game. FIU playing on FGCU that same day, a little earlier, so I'll be there. You'll be doing basketball coverage.
Oh, you're going to be at Fort. Oh wait, no, that's here at Miami.
It's at FIU.
I'm tripping. But
I don't know who'll start that game. Actually, I'll be interested to see because Randy won on Sunday, so it's. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe Choco. Maybe Choco starts that game.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I could see that. I could see that happening.
We'll cover the basketball games, regardless of being in Alabama. We'll cover them. I think Ricardo. By the way, shout out Ricardo. His articles for basketball.
He's been clutch for us.
End of the season. He's putting in the work, putting in the hours, and I think he'll probably be covering women's. So that's going to be cool to see. Episode 87 of the podcast. I think it's going to be around the corner. I think it should be a pretty fun episode. If we haven't announced who the guest is already. Oh, wait, 86 has not come out at the time of this episode dropping. That was a fun recording, Kevin. With the with the player.
I have to remind myself who we did it with.
We haven't announced yet, but I think you guys will enjoy that. And then next week, another episode already kind of in the works. So we'll leave it there, guys. Thanks for watching. Go watch FIU, both men's and women's. Both games are on ESPN Plus, so they're going to be there. And until next time. Paws Up!